What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We are your hosts, the Distorted Theorists, and we are coming to you live from Cineplex Theaters here in St. John's after just coming out from the 17.5-hour long Avatar Fire and Ash. I was going to say The Way of Water, The Way of Water 2.
Listen, it was kind of like The Way of Water 2, but before we get into our almost spoiler-free review, as always, if you want to support the channel, we do appreciate if you would just take 1 second to hit our subscribe button, hit our like button, and obviously, if you've seen the movie, leave us some comments what you thought. Peter.
And again, we're going to do our best to be spoiler-free.
Yeah, and we'll try to give you a notification if we are. But Peter, you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's The Way of the Water too. This takes place very quickly after the last film.
It is. It's basically, if you want to look at it in terms of trilogy, like I wouldn't say it's The Way of Water, because it is called Fire and Ash for a reason.
Yeah.
But reason. I honestly thought that we were kind of done. I thought it was just going to be like, okay, we're done with the Water Tribe, and
I as well.
And no, the Water Tribe.
Very predominant.
I'm forgetting their actual name, but like they play a very prominent role in the movie.
Yeah.
So, anyways, before we get into it, there's a lot of returning cast. We got Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana.
Yeah.
We've got Sigourney Weaver, Giovanni Ribisi is coming back.
I can't even say that
Edie
name.
Falco. I can't remember his name, but Miles Quaritch is returning as well. But there's a big new player in the game, and I can't remember her name.
Man, there's so many names. We apologize.
But it's
the Fire Tribe.
Yes.
The Fire Tribe,
Priestess.
main Na'vi lady. Probably my favorite part of this whole film. I just felt when their character was on screen, it was like impactful every time. There was no slog with that character.
No.
But one of the things that
Straight gas.
Yeah, well, all gas, no brakes. But one thing I do want to say is, and I know a lot of people might come for me in the comments, the overarching theme of this movie, I felt, was just conflict. That's a word that I just kept hearing over, like in my head. I was like, there was internal conflict. There was internal family conflict. There was internal friendly tribe conflict. Internal, external tribe conflict. It was just like everywhere. But, you know, we looked at each other in the movie, and I leaned over about halfway through, and I said, I'm already liking this way better than this last one.
And that's the other thing. So this is, I enjoyed The Way of Water, but The Way of Water was a much more flowy,
whimsical
movie,
spectacle.
It was much more in terms of like, again, this is what we waited 12 years for, however long it was. We see the technology that's creating water and all that stuff, and so we got to see that almost documentary vibe. It ain't in
totally
this one.
No. Like I feel like James Cameron on the last one, he almost like wanted to re-show us that this is what I can do. Carry on.
And this is more so the Battlefield Diaries.
Yeah.
This is what this is. This is a much more action-packed movie. The conflict, as you mentioned, is much more present. We are dealing with the results of the prior movie. I'm not going to spoil anything.
And grief and, you know, all those emotions.
There's grief, but then, so the family is healing. The tribes or the clans, they're healing. And
still trying to coexist.
And as a result, the planet Awa is healing too, and that is a large part of this film as well. And
go ahead.
The cast really does work well with this. It's something that, you know, the last
you don't
movie,
get bored of them almost. Like
no, and that was kind of where The Way of Water sometimes felt to me. It was just like, I rewatched it about a month ago, and there were periods of time where I was actually like, okay, I know it's coming. I need you to get to it. That's what I'm here to see.
But this had just like, I felt like this movie had like 3 to 4 storylines going all at once, but they almost were in a linear, but then they would cross and then go in a different, so it kind of kept you like, wait, okay, we're watching this scene, action heavy or whatever, but what about those kids that went that way, and what are they doing now? And then, of course, you would get there and you're like, okay, we're getting a new storyline now. But you even leaned to me again, and I want you to touch on this for everybody watching. I know
exactly what you're going to say.
You said to me, you're like, damn, I forgot we're watching CGI for a second. And I was like, agreed.
It's done so well, and they've even stretched it a little more. Like, again, like Avatar. The first Avatar was insane in 2009, 2008 when it came out.
Right.
Way of Water, when it came out 2-3 years ago, was like that blew everything out of the water.
Yeah.
But this time, there's the tilt shift and the way the perspective is changing when we're dealing with...
The gyroscope, I call it.
Well, yeah, because there's scenes where we've got Spider and then we've got Quaritch in the same room.
Yeah.
So we've got a human character. Now, this was present on the last movie as well. But like they had the perspective framing, so it would like focus, and then you could see like the lens focus in on Spider.
Yeah.
And then, and I was like, it doesn't need to happen because we're focusing in on a CGI character, and it still made it look because the last one was just like, oh, it's just there, but this one is like, it's still a film.
Yeah.
So we're doing all the tricks, but it doesn't need to happen. We had those quick zooms.
And I also, just while he's touching on that, I want to mention that we did watch this in 3D IMAX here in St. John's, Newfoundland.
It doesn't need to be, but
oh my God. But there was times, like especially with the water, and I will give its credit where it's due. There were some times they were underwater splashing, and like the raindrops were falling down the screen, and literally looked like it was on my glasses at one point.
We did have some of the gimmicky 3D stuff too, where someone would take a bow and point it, and you're like,
I noticed that too.
It didn't happen often, but it worked well enough that it was just like, ooh.
But it's good to see, you go into this film, it's 3 hours and 20 some minutes or something like that. And you're like, you stop for a second, which I didn't feel like it felt like it. Did it feel like 2.5 hours? Yeah, kind of. But 3.5, I didn't feel like we were sat there that long.
There was at one point where we were watching something and it seemed like this could have been like the end of this particular act or whatever. And I had to look at my watch because it kind of went off and I was like, we still have an hour and 20 minutes.
But we both got giddy when you said that because we were like, okay, we'll take another hour and a half more.
There's a lot more.
But it just felt like everybody, with 3.5 hours, you get a little concerned, like, what is the filler here, right? Why do you need 3.5 hours? But I felt like literally every character's story had its own little arc, got pushed its own little way, and had the time to breathe, and you weren't compacting things or getting rid of things because you didn't, they needed them, so you let them have it.
Again, in my opinion, and Jim, you're gonna come for me this.
That's okay.
And I hope you do. If you really want to talk to me about this, you can fly us down to New Zealand. It's okay. We'll willingly do it. But the story, it's all right. It's not fantastic. It's not something you've never seen before.
Not groundbreaking.
It doesn't take anything and flip it on the edge like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. You're kind of like, I go to Avatar movies for the spectacle, and it's there.
Yeah, this had spectacle.
Is this the movie of the year? No. You'll find out what my movie of the year is going to be in about a week and a half.
When you do our year-end review.
Yes, but this is easily worth the admission. This is easily worth the ticket price. This is easily worth the trip in. It's so worth it to come and see this.
And you know what? Sometimes I think we get caught up in the you almost have to go see an Avatar movie because it's the thing to do, or it's the pop culture thing to do. It's going to be popular. You got to get involved in it. You know what I mean? But this film,
if it doesn't make $2 billion, we're not getting 4 and 5.
Right.
So Jim's pleading. James Cameron's pleading.
Yes, I'm sure he needs the money. But what I'm saying is, don't let that be your deciding factor. Go see it because you feel you want to see it. Don't do it because it's the norm. Don't do it because it's the thing to do. If you want to go see the third Avatar film, you're not going to be disappointed. The sheer, it's called Fire and Ash. We should probably touch on that for a second. There is explosions in the, you know what, actually.
It's particles and everything that works. So that was always the thing when the PS5 came out. We're like, oh my God, the particle effects. Well, this was just like.
But you know what? I went into this, I think, the subtitle Fire and Ash had me a little swerved because I thought we were going to see a lot more of something. I won't say, just I had an idea of what that Fire and Ash meant. But I feel like there's a deeper meaning to that, but B, the fire tribe, which we know from the trailers is involved. It wasn't like in your face, like we're fire. They utilize fire in a very productive way. But again, that's where James Cameron shined in this Fire and Ash one. I felt like every time that fire is utilized, especially when the fire tribe are doing their thing.
But it's not overdone.
Exactly, but it also was very real. I don't think there was like too much CGI on the fire, or at least I didn't feel that way.
It was all CGI.
You think?
Yes.
I didn't see it, well, at least I didn't feel that way, so.
It's just, I'm sure there was, it's a visual effects thing. Anyways,
yeah.
So, in terms of the story, it wraps up this story. We, as far as we know, Avatar 4 and 5 are coming sometime in the future. Hopefully. We may get to see it, I don't know. The final end of this story is wrapped up kind of, it works, but there's one or two things that's a bit unsatisfying.
There's a couple threads, but realistically at the end, I felt like if this had ended now and that was it, I wouldn't be like mad in the sense of like you guys left us hanging, but there are a few characters, few things that you're like, oh, there's definitely going to be a fourth, at least, you know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting. And the thing is now, if you look on the whole of Avatar, that was, I like to say that was its own thing because it came out so long ago and they had a story to tell then. Now, obviously, James Cameron's moving on with more. The Way of Water in this one feels similar on a lot of levels. So I'm curious, without too many spoilers, where do you think this is going to go if there is a fourth or a fifth? Like, what do you want to see next out of the Avatar films?
It's basically we're going to have to deal with the human element. There are elements that are touched on in this film that could almost allow more of a symbiotic relationship between the warring clans and the humans.
Yeah.
And it's touched on and then kind of taken away.
Yeah.
And I think that that's going to be utilized in 4 and 5 to see where that could go and how the planet the moon and Andor.
Yeah.
Andor?
That's because you got Star Wars brain, my friend. But carry on.
Awa.
Yeah.
Will
Pandora.
I was saying that Pandora, where Awa is going to come into this.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that a lot of our characters will be returning.
Yeah.
I'm leaving it there.
Yep.
And I don't know what kind of. The next thing is James Cameron is going to develop a technology to implant this directly into our brains. We're not even going to need the theater. We're going to pay $30 at home, and we're going to put the phone up to our head. We're just going to, and we're going to be.
We're going to become avatars, basically, watching the film.
Sam Sigourney? Like, it's going to be a whole thing.
It would be kind of fun. At the close of this video, as always, anyone who follows us on our movie reviews, we always like to give our review out of 10. Peter, I'll let you take it first. What are we giving this film as we close out the last film we're probably going to see in 2025?
I'm going to give it a simple review. I'm probably going to tweak this later on. I'm going to give it 9 out of 10. Does this mean that it's probably one of the best movies that I've seen this year? It's best in certain terms. And trying to figure out what is there's so it's a 3.5 hour movie. It's so much. I'm gonna give it a simple 9 out of 10. I'm probably gonna tweak it down a little lower over time. Fantastic movie. Go see it. What do you think?
Well, for me, Avatar was never, even when it came out way ago, one of the movies that I was like, this is mind-blowing. I was like, I accept it for what it is. That's not saying I don't dislike them. What I'm saying is they're just not something I am driven to go watch at the theater, but I do go to see it because it interests me.
You didn't grow up wanting to be Jake Sully.
Exactly. However, with that being said, the movie is great, but for my liking, I'm going to give it 8.5 because I respect the movie, what it did. I respect everything that they put into this film. I respect how it kept my attention for 3.5 hours or whatever it was. But the only reason it's a little lower is because it's just not 100% what I enjoy when I go to a movie. That's it. And that's me being honest, keeping it real.
It served the spectacle for me because again, something that is I mentioned earlier. Again, like you don't go to Avatar movies for the big story. You go for the spectacle.
That's right.
And like I just mentioned,
and that is what I did enjoy.
Little kids are looking at this going, one day I'm going to be Jake Sully. I'm going to be Korra.
Natiri or whatever.
No one's really looking at that. They go to Disney and see the Tree of Life and they're like, okay, that's what it is. But it doesn't have it's going to have the lasting impact of a certain way, but not the same way that Star Wars, Jurassic Park, all these great franchises have. It's still fantastic, but it's.
I think in a lot of ways, Avatar is still trying to capture audiences in a lot of ways.
It just does it in a different way that these other franchises have done.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for our out of theater immediate reaction for Avatar: Fire and Ash. As always, if you want to support our channel, we do appreciate it if you would just take 1 second, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. And before we tell you what to put in the comments, myself and Peter would love to wish everyone watching a happy holidays and a safe holidays coming into the close of 2025. But with that, in the comments below, if you've seen the movie, please let us know your thoughts. Agree, disagree, we don't care. We will converse with it in the comments. Are you excited to find out if there's going to be an Avatar 4, 5, 6?
No, there can't be.
And what do you want to see in the future of the Avatar franchise? And with that, Peter, I am the real Jussy.
I'm Peter Parkour, and like we always say around here,
keep it real.